The night it started, there was a letter leaned against my cabin door like a dare. No stamp, no return address, just heavy paper and a name I recognized for all the wrong reasons. By the time I reached the line demanding I remove my unlawful structure within 30 days, the steak in my skillet had gone from medium to a crime scene, and my hands had that tremor you get when anger outruns good sense. I'm Quinn Harden. My father taught me to read land the way some folks read sheet music, pacing between granite and lodgepole, counting chain lengths, setting pins where the earth says the line belongs, not where convenience wishes it did. The ridge I live on isn't much to most people, but to me it's a family ledger written in rock and cedar. I built my place by hand the summer after Dad died, one-story log and stone, a porch that catches the last light, and a chimney that never quite stops smelling like hickory. It's quiet here until it isn't. The letter was from a firm in the valley, Harper & Lee, representing a woman named Asterisk, Brianna Vale, ***. She's the kind of neighbor you notice even when you're trying not to, a glass rectangle of a house downslope, all angles and infinity edges, the sort of place that's built to be looked at and never lived in. I'd run into her once at a county meeting on trail access. She wore sunglasses indoors and said my view more times than she said hello. According to her lawyers, my cabin was sitting smack in the middle of land she held in legal ownership. According to my pulse, we had a problem. I didn't throw the letter. I filed it. Then I walked to my back wall, the archive, which is just what happens when you grow up a surveyor's kid with a compulsion to keep receipts. And I pulled everything, the 1971 deed in my grandfather's hand, a certified boundary survey from 1974, Dad's aerial photos from the early 80s with grease pencil lines over snow, and the drone maps I'd done last fall when I replaced the solar array. The line hadn't moved a breath in 50 years. So I wrote a polite reply that was polite the way a sheathed knife is polite, attached copies, noted the inconsistencies, gave her 10 business days to retract, and threatened a countersuit for harassment and attempted fraud. I sent it certified and went to bed listening to the mountain breathe through the pines. A week later, a deputy brought a summons anyway. Asterisk, Vale v. Harden, asterisk, claims of encroachment, injunction, demolition, the whole parade. I drove down to the courthouse in boots that still had mud on them and stood in front of asterisk, Judge Reyes, asterisk, who looked at me over reading glasses like a woman who had seen every story and was waiting to be surprised. Brianna swept in with a jawline lawyer and heels that sounded like punctuation. He's a hobbyist with a shack, her attorney said, holding up a county GIS printout like it was scripture. The boundary is clear to whoever typed it in, I said steady. Deeds are older than desktops. Judge Reyes gave me 10 business days for an independent cross survey and froze any demolition until the evidence was in. I walked out into hard noon sunlight, and Brianna muttered as she passed, "You're wasting your time." I told her I had plenty of time and all the originals. She didn't blink, but I saw it, a flick of calculation, like someone who'd never been told no was tasting the possibility. 3 days later, my ridge looked like a crime scene for cartographers, rebar stakes, neon flags, the whir of asterisk, Ava Parks, RTK drone spilling over the slope. Ava is the most precise person I know. She could calculate a tangent while pouring coffee. Asterisk, Duke Salazar, asterisk, who once mapped rock slides on a shoestring and a dare, set up GNSS rovers, and laughed that special laugh he saves for rich people who build too close to cliffs and then ask why the ground keeps moving. We started old chain and compass, walking the line my grandfather had walked, then layered in everything. Modern LiDAR terrain, satellite history, GPS sweeps so tight, We could see where elk had slept. By dusk, we had it the kind of ugly truth that makes your stomach go cold before your brain says good. The county GIS was shifted west just enough to make my cabin look like a trespasser if you trusted the screen more than the soil. But the certified line and the deed chain said otherwise. And here's the kicker, asterisk, asterisk, about 60% of Brianna's glass palace sat inside my parcel, asterisk, asterisk. The garage, the lower-level wine library, the koi pond with imported stone. On paper, she'd taken the ridge. On the ground, she'd built on my name. We stacked proof the way you stack cordwood before a storm. Dad's 1982 aerial annotated with that granite outcropping everyone in the county knows is the eastern marker. The 1974 survey with a dead man's signature and a living seal. The RTK overlays clean as a scalpel. Then Duke pulled out the contractor filings or the lack of them. No permits tied to her LLC for my parcel. Nothing. It's funny how silence, when you document it right, becomes the loudest sound in the room. 10 days later, I walked back into court with a pelican case that could have sprained a shoulder. Ava and Duke had sworn affidavits, and asterisk, asterisk. Marta Chen, asterisk, asterisk, an attorney. A friend recommended when things turned serious, stood beside me with a look that said she'd rather argue facts than adjectives. We dimmed the lights. Slide 1, the stamped 1974 map. Slide 2, the GPS model with cabin and mansion overlaid on the certified boundary. Slide 3, the split-screen county GIS versus the real line, and the gallery did that soft collective inhale people do when the picture rearranges their certainty. Marta asked for an injunction, a asterisk, asterisk, lis pendens, asterisk, asterisk, to freeze any transfer and time to subpoena communications. Judge Reyes nodded, then surprised us by mentioning an internal boundary audit the recorder's office had quietly opened months ago. You may want to request it, she said. It seems relevant. The other side objected like it was their chore for the day. It didn't help. A week later, the DA's office executed a limited warrant at Brianna's house. No sirens, just early morning courtesy and a clipboard. I watched from the ridge with binoculars I inherited the same week I inherited grief. They seized 2 large format maps, one labeled Revised Site Plan Private, where the property line had magically crept north over my porch. They mirrored a hard drive named Ridge Expansion 5.3 that had glossy renderings of a spa deck cantilevered across terrain that wasn't hers to dream about. And there were emails, one from Brianna to her contractor. If we nudge the boundary in GIS first, nobody checks. He's a weekend cabin guy. The reply, clerk can push it. If Hardin squawks, I'll handle it. I didn't squawk. I documented. And then I filed. Brianna's team tried everything. A motion to dismiss because our RTK had margin of error ambiguities. An emergency arbitration to keep it out of the news. My favorite, an adverse possession claim, as if building lavishly and loudly on someone else's dirt while filing forged maps makes time your ally. Judge Reyes denied each with a tone I can only describe as tired of nonsense. The planning board opened a retroactive review. The junior clerk, God bless kids who panic into telling the truth, swore he'd been pressured to rush an emergency parcel adjustment using a folder hand-delivered by someone from Brianna's LLC. No digital trail, just a favor. The county released a statement. Local news ran a segment called Boundary at Breakpoint. I didn't give interviews. The exhibits spoke better than I could. Marta filed the hammer recognition of my asterisk asterisk fee. Simple asterisk asterisk rights over the disputed land, a declaration that Brianna's structure was unlawful where it sat, and a remedy, either she dismantles it at her expense or the court compels sale to me at residual value, because no lender will touch a house built on a lie. We filed liens. We froze what needed freezing. The DA filed charges filing false instruments, real estate fraud conspiracy to defraud a public office. It moved fast and slow at the same time the way justice does when it's thorough. The ruling hit on a windless morning. 10 pages. My name where it mattered. The court recognized my ownership, labeled all intrusions unlawful unless transferred under terms acceptable to me, and gave Brianna 30 days to choose between demolition or sale. She changed lawyers again. They tried to get clever with what she could remove before transfer fixtures versus finishes, the difference between a chandelier you can unbolt and a staircase that belongs to the bones of the place. Marta drew the line in legal ink. The court agreed. No one outbid me at the judicial auction. For a single dollar plus a stack of fees that felt like the county's way of teaching both of us a lesson, I took title to a house I didn't want, but knew exactly how to use. We swept it with forensic techs and found a list in our office drawer labeled asterisk, asterisk, targets, asterisk, asterisk, parcels up and down the range, notes like weak title and elderly owner, low pushback. It wasn't development. It was a business model built on erasure. We turned it over to the DA and I made copies for a folder named for a feeling I hadn't had in months, relief. Then I called Ava and Duke, and we made a decision we would sand the shine off this monument and make it useful. We pulled the marble-laid pine open the lower level into an archive room and turned the infinity deck into a teaching patio with simple benches and a rail you could lean on without feeling small. We named it asterisk, asterisk, the Boundary School. Asterisk, asterisk, a nonprofit with weekend workshops for ranchers and retirees, and folks with 3 acres, and a neighbor who calls everything an easement misunderstanding. We teach people how to read their own lines, how to file a map that holds up how to breathe when a letter arrives that tries to make them small. I sleep in my cabin. I'll always sleep in my cabin. It smells like cedar and dust, and my father's coat in the winter. But some evenings I walk down to the former palace and stand where a glass railing meets sky, and I look up to see my porch light a soft yellow dot in the trees, and I think about how a line is just a promise you make to the people who came before you and the ones you'll never meet. You don't move a promise because a view would be better from the other side. Brianna disappeared from public life. I hear things Arizona, Nevada, a different last name, and I don't spend energy chasing rumors. The case will do what cases do. Meanwhile, the board voted to overhaul how the county treats GIS overlays. Deeds and certified surveys reclaim their throne. On opening weekend, we hosted 15 people, 1 couple from over the pass, first-time landowners with that worried way of standing like they're bracing for the push. We were scared, the woman told me as dusk dusted the ridge. We thought we'd get steamrolled. Not here, I said. Not anymore. If you've listened this far, you already know where I land on right and wrong. But I'll leave you with this. When a boundary gets crossed, is it ever just dirt like Brianna said on the courthouse steps? Or is it memory and law and the messy promise of neighborliness all braided together? Tell me what you think. Down below, was the remedy fair? Would you have taken the house or torn it down? And what does justice look like where you live? Drop your take in the comments. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've got your own boundary story, I'm listening.